I blacked out. Hi everybody, it's Christian Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? I hope that you're having a great day. Today we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about being a people pleaser. Are you a people pleaser? Don't deny it if it's you. A people pleaser does not know what self-preservation is. Everybody goes before us. That is unbiblical. The Bible says to love your neighbors as yourselves, or to treat others how you want to be treated. The situation is that you have to come first. We don't put ourselves first. We put other people first to the point where it damages us. And I want to tell you a story about how this damage happened to me, how I wound up on my back lawn, on my back, sleep in the grass because I was a people pleaser. Now, this does not mean that I'm 1000% free of that. It means that now that I know that that's a quality in me and not a good one, it's a quirk. It's a quirk that goes on autopilot if I don't take care of it. I have to watch how I respond to people and make sure I'm not responding out of that place, because that place will have me and you messed up. Okay, so just bear with me while I go down this little list. Okay, so here is what was going on in my mind as a people pleaser. I never wanted to say no to anyone because I didn't want to seem as unreliable. So I pretty much said yes to death, even if it hurt. That's not good. I never wanted others to think that I was being rude by doing things that would convenience me rather than them. Yeah, putting myself first kind of hurt my feelings. I don't know why. That's so unnatural. Or if it didn't hurt my feelings, I would feel guilty for even thinking about putting myself before others. But that's not biblical. That's not how we're supposed to be acting. Let's see. I never wanted people to think that I was weak if I declined to continue in something that I figured out wasn't working for me. So it's like, well, I already committed to it. I already gave it my word, so I need to go. Even though this is hurting me to do this, I need to go ahead and finish it out because I said I was going to do it. The Bible says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. You don't have to swear. You don't have to make promises. You know, if you say you're going to do something, then try to do it to the best of your abilities. However, if the thing that you're doing is hurting yourself, then you're not doing it out of self-preservation. You might be trying to preserve your ego, but you're damaging yourself. So you need to really check that. I need to really check that. Being a people pleaser isn't even always about us. It's not really even about us being like super timid. We can be weak-minded. Yes, but we're not. I mean, we can be timid, but it's more of an ego thing. So I would say it kind of goes more on the side of pride, because we don't want people to see us in a way that we don't want to be perceived, period. We only want to be seen as superhuman, super positive, and always helpful, and always available, and super reliable. That's Jesus' job. Why are we like this? Don't know. Because I'm going to say this. Something that happened in our past, a series of events that happened in our past, has tailor-made our personalities like that, to where we try to avoid conflict by always saying yes and always being perfect to the naked eye. But that's not really who we are. That's a whole false personality, but I'm not going to go there. Now let me go back. Let me go down to this story and let me tell you how I wound up passed out on the ground because I'm a stinking people pleaser. All right? Okay. All right. The day that I moved to the country, I didn't eat. We know better. We know that when we have something to do, we should eat before we get started. But sometimes we're so excited to get something done. Even at the ripe old age of 34, I still forget to eat sometimes. Okay. So I didn't eat. I was up very early in the morning, helping to load and pack vehicles, instruct people on where to put my things all day, from morning to evening. And it was very hot outside. Well, as the day came to an end, I had to get the moving truck back to town and get my cousin back to the old house so that he could pick up his car. I had gotten him to the old house, and I started feeling a little weird after I got out of my vehicle. Like, I was feeling like I was seeing spots and maybe a little lightheaded, but I still had some strength. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna just go. I'm taking that, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just go in the house. I'm gonna get some water. I'm gonna probably eat something, and then I'll be back on my way. Not a big deal. Not a big deal, right? Okay. So what wound up happening was that a neighbor who never talks to me decided that he needed to have a full-fledged conversation with me as I was trying to walk to the door. I mean, I was about 10 feet away from the entry, and he stops and asks me about my kids and where I had moved to, and tells me his story of his life and the kids he's raised. And eventually that weird feeling came back, that feeling where when I blinked I would see spots, feeling lightheaded, and knowing that I need to be drinking something. It came back. So I leaned up against my vehicle to prop myself up. I kind of leaned on my van, and I was standing in the blazing sun. It was beaming down on me, and I didn't want to be rude. So I'm noticing that I'm seeing spots, and I'm really thirsty, and I'm really hot, and I'm sweating, and I'm fanning myself, and and he's not getting the signal like, hey, should I get her some water? No, he's just standing there talking to me. He's good, but I'm fanning myself, and I'm like a Southern belle, like, oh my, I am in need of thirst. Okay, but whatever. So I'm standing in the blazing sun, and I didn't want this man to think I was being rude if I cut him short so I can go get a drink of water. Like, literally, I was so in my head. I was like, he's going to think I'm rude. He's going to think I'm disrespectful if I go in the house and get some water while he's talking. If I tell him I got to be right back, like, I cannot afford for this person who never talks to me to have a bad perception about me. So I'm going to need to figure out how to word it so he can feel respected. A complete stranger, a neighbor, a 2 or 3 year neighbor, so he can feel respected so that I can go in the house in peace, because I don't want no problems. See, I already had an imaginary fight with my neighbor, and I have an imaginary conflict that was not happening in real life. And that imaginary conflict had me messed up. So like I said, I didn't want to think I was rude. So he continued to talk, not taking the cues of me fanning myself. I'm sweating. I don't know if I had braids in or a wig on, but whatever. It was too hot for all that. I was too much. So he went on for a few minutes, and I started to get winks. So I tried to say, I am so sorry, but you'll have to excuse me. I need to go inside. I mean, I was trying to be a complete lady. So I fixed my mouth to say it, but I could feel myself falling asleep. I was like, hey, excuse me. It was not nearly as classy. I wanted to just be like, hey, excuse me, this is so nice, but I gotta go in. I am super thirsty. I'm so sorry to interrupt. But no, I'm thirsty. I'm dying of thirst at this point. I'm like, hey, excuse me, I need to do, I'm so sorry. And I passed completely out. I blacked out. Because I neglected myself. I could have ran in that house and not said anything, and I don't think it doesn't matter what he would have thought about me. Well, she's rude. Maybe she had to use the bathroom. It doesn't matter what he would have thought of me. The point is, I would have saved myself blacking out on that dirty ground. I was outside in the heat on the dirty grass. On the grass, they walk their dogs. Okay? My weave was probably all up in that grass. So I black out. I finally get some rest because I had been going all day. I black out in the grass. I'm still kind of in the sun, but I can still feel a cool breeze. Like, my body's feeling kind of cool. Like, okay, this is good. I wake up, and he's like opening a bottle of water, trying to feed me water, trying to give me like confections, like sweets, and trying to get me. He's like, do you have hypoglycemia? Do you have low blood sugar? I'm like, I don't know. I was like, to be honest, I didn't eat, and I was trying to go in the house to get some water, but you know, I just didn't want to. I didn't want to disrespect the conversation. It's an older man. I don't think he would have cared. Now that I think back on it, but being a people pleaser, having that pride of needing to be strong for people when you are actually suffering through a weakness is of no benefit to anyone, because you're not being your real self. You're not walking out your truth. People can't see the signs of you suffering because you put on a front. That's not good. How can you ever grow and mature out of that if you are so worried about what other people think of you? So let's say It says, all of this could have been avoided if I had just went inside once I got home. I could have been polite and said, hey, I'll be right back. But instead, I tried to convenience someone at the cost of my health. I tried to seem strong and reliable and composed and put together when in that moment, I wasn't. There was extreme dehydration, and I ignored that flag in order to make somebody else happy, what I thought was happy. My advice to you is to never be so concerned and consumed with someone's thoughts and impressions of you that you put yourselves in harm's way in order to make them see you in a good light or have them think good things about you. It's not important, and that is the hardest thing for a people pleaser to get. It's not important if people are pleased with you. It doesn't matter if they're never satisfied or if they are satisfied. You go on and live you. Your life experience is about you and how you handle yourself, okay? I'm sorry. Okay. So let's see. It says it's not important. People are going to think. It's not your or my business what people think. We are missing what life is really about if we go through life trying to convince ourselves to make others perceive things about us that may not even be true in reality. We are not always strong. We are not always put together. We are not always happy. We're not always pleasant. We're not always beautiful. We're not always polite. We don't always speak well. We are not robots. We have times of weakness, or times when we need to be quiet, or times when we need to go, move, come, sit down, stay, stop, sit, whatever. We cannot. We need to take ourselves off the pedestal and having such high expectations of ourselves. We don't want to be clumsy. We don't want to be seen as clumsy. Well, if we clumsy, we can't help what other people think about us when they see that. It's not, why do we care? I don't know. Your homework is to get to the issue, get to the root of why you care. What happened to you that programmed you into thinking that if you don't care about what other people think, then you're a bad person? You're not a bad person if you only care what you think. When you worry about what other people think and what their input is, it slows you down. Like whatever God has for you, even in this journey of self-discovery, if you're always asking other people's opinions about what they think you are and how they think you should be and what they think, it's too much. You was born alone and you're going to die alone. I'm going to give you the hard truth. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. And I'm saying that because I have to catch myself sometimes when I get a text message from somebody and I may want to respond, not in a rude way, but defensively so that they can know that everything's in the up and up with me. When somebody responds to you defensively, don't you think they're kind of crazy? Like, why? What is she going through that she had to say that to me? I wasn't even going there with her. You know, I have to check myself. And instead of giving like this whole orchestrated answer, I can just either say yes or no and cut my losses. Because you're either going to respond to me with the cool response or you're not going to respond at all. But it's not up to me to worry about and fix how you respond to me. I need to get out of your head. And I need to get out of my head. I do. If I'm worried about what you think of me, then I'm doing too much. That's not my job. It is not my job to fix how you feel about me. It is my job to deal with me and love me and appreciate me and deal with people who love me and appreciate me. Period, point blank. That's it. So, if you're a people pleaser, start paying attention to what you're doing. And if you are around people who make you feel like you have to walk on eggshells and make you feel like you always have to be available and that you can't say no and that you're going to ruin their whole life, if you do one thing for yourself or a number of things for yourself, then you are in the wrong relationships. You need to back away from those people that make you feel like that because they are just manipulators and they are they're gonna ruin you and you're not even gonna know it. You're gonna find yourself like resentful and ready to pop off on people instead when you can just, hey, look, this is how it's gonna be, or hey, I have to take time for myself, or hey, you can't treat me like that. You have to draw boundaries for yourself. But oh my gosh, I'm saying so much more than what I intended to say. All this can be said in another video. Listen, if you learned something about yourself or something about me, it's okay if you have a chuckle. That's cool. I hope that you can do some introspection. Look deep within yourself. Don't just worry about this stuff, because this stuff is gonna change and grow old. What is your heart like? What is your thought life like? You need to get to the bottom of that. And if you have negative thought patterns, you need to fix them. I don't care if you gotta say 10 times a day, hey, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to do happy things. I'm going to have a good and happy life. You say those things. You continue to speak good things of yourself and encourage yourself, okay? And come out of those negative thought patterns and those behaviors. My kid is calling me, so I will be back on another video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope that you guys have a blessed day. I will talk to you later. Bye.